Several protesters have been arrested in Kenya as they try to disrupt the African Way Forward Summit. The protesters are protesting against what they describe as the shift of the French influence in East African community. These protesters say the French government has nothing good to offer to the East African community except what they describe as insecurity, terrorism, exploitation, and dirty politics, which will gratify corrupt leaders in order to keep their flow of resources which cannot be accounted for. According to these protesters, they say that the recent happenings in the Sahel region is a textbook example for many African heads of state, especially those in East Africa and Kenya, to see that the French government has no genuine influence in affecting change and positive development in the East African community except to come and exploit their resources. They say the reason why the French is moving towards the East African community is because they have lost a greater number of where they used to get cheap raw materials from the Sahel nations, and that is why they are now coming to the East Africa after the French has been chased out of the Sahel nation. That is why they were protesting. They tried to breach the KIC, where the security meeting and also the African Way Forward Summit was taking place. Unfortunately for these protesters, they were stopped by police. Police used heavy force, brute force, successfully arresting 12 activists and also were able to disperse the protesters. The protesters are worried. They have every reason to be worried. Why? They recently signed agreement between the Kenyan government and the French government. It's a major reason why they are worried in terms of security apparatus. Kenya and France have signed a security deal which will waive crime committed by French soldiers in Kenya and also will permit the French government to have a military base inside Kenya. This is something that most African nations, 11 African nations, have revolted against and have successfully kicked out the French military bases in their countries because they say that these bases have no relationship in order to maintain peace, stability, and security. Rather, they see these bases as a platform for sale of weapons to rebels and criminal network syndicates who will in turn be used to destabilize the nation and for the French government to come in as a messiah to say that they want to resolve the problem. And that is why they were protesting.
If French is interested of genuine partnership with the Nairobi, what has happened in Ouagadougou, what has happened in the Sahel region, we know for a fact that there is no development that has happened in West Africa.
There is no development. When they say development, it's development of their military bases, not development for the Kenyan people. It's not Pan-Africanism, it's imperialism.
This only confirms that the military contract that is signed under security cooperation is actually a contract of occupation. The French is coming to occupy our country. And even Ruto himself is not safe. 4
foreigners are among the 12 arrested in Kenya. They will be arraigned in court on Monday next week, where they will have to present the reason for their protest and will have to plead guilty or not guilty, and the law will take its course. These protesters made mention of the fact that Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger are the site or textbook example to prove what they are protesting for. And they called President Emmanuel Macron someone who is sponsoring terrorism. And they said Macron should leave East Africa alone.